All right, I'm Megan Duncan with Muddy River News, and I am here at the Roland Fine Arts Center today with Riley Gaines. And Riley is the director of the Riley Gaines Center at the Learning Institute. Riley is also a 12-time NCAA All-American swimmer and a 5-time SEC champion at the Kentucky University.
Absolutely.
Yes, and she has become a national voice to preserve women's sports for biological women. So
it is a pretty mind-blowing feat.
Yes.
Just that. I mean, I never would have imagined even 2 years ago that this would be a stance that's necessary to be had.
Yeah.
But here we are, and we are fighting, and I could not be more excited to be here on the campus of Hannibal LaGrange.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time with us. You're going to go on stage here in about, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
So, do you get nervous before you go?
No, I really don't. And I think that comes from a place of just passion.
Yeah.
This is an issue that, of course, hits close to home, being
Absolutely.
that I was impacted and my teammates and my competitors were impacted at our national championships in 2022.
Yeah.
And I just care so fiercely.
Yeah.
But again, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, speaking in front of people, my face turned the color of a tomato. But it shows you how powerful passion really is.
Absolutely. That's very, very true. You are focusing, your speaking tour is Speak Louder, and you're focusing on campuses. Can you tell me why you're focusing on campuses? Is that like a demographic that you're wanting to reach?
Absolutely. Being someone who's young, a recent college graduate myself, I see the need for reaching people my age. And it's something that I think someone my age can do effectively.
Yeah.
People my age, they don't want to hear from someone who's older or who might not have direct experience with this issue. So the importance of spreading awareness and spreading the truth to those who I would say are really hungry to hear the truth, especially here on the campus of Hannibal LaGrange. I've been overwhelmed with the amount of support and encouragement that their student body has provided me. Their female athletes have been incredible to me. They've taken me around all day, so that's really inspiring to me. And that's what, of course, I'm trying to do for them as well as inspire them.
Oh, that's wonderful, and I'm not surprised at the experience you've had here, and I'm glad you have. So what are you going to talk about today? Can you kind of give us a rundown of that?
Absolutely. So I'll talk about how I was directly impacted by this in regard to the unfair competition, in regard to the locker room aspect, in regard to the silencing that we face from our universities. I'll talk about the impact that's been had since the past 2 years or so, really how Missouri has been leading the movement on a lot of this. And I'll give some calls to action, what we can do as everyday people, and just provide some encouragement to really embolden and empower people of all ages to speak the truth.
Absolutely. What motivated you? You had a specific experience that led you to this. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was a collegiate swimmer in my senior year at our national championships. We were forced to compete against male swimmer Leah Thomas, who is formerly Will Thomas, who swam 3 years on the men's team at University of Pennsylvania before deciding to switch to the women's team. We're ultimately competing against the women. He won national titles and was beating out by body lengths, Olympians, American record holders. So really, since experiencing the injustice and the infringement of this and how we felt in that moment, that's ultimately how I found my voice.
Yeah. And I've heard you say before that there's actually, you get a lot of pushback, and I know that. But there's actually a lot more people that agree with you on actually all political spectrums and athletes themselves that are not speaking up. Why is that?
The fear. These athletes, especially college athletes, they're terrified, and understandably so, because we're told you'll lose your scholarship, you'll lose your playing time, you'll lose friends, you'll lose your job opportunities or your chance to get into grad school, which is it's effective in keeping young girls quiet. They don't want to be labeled any names. They don't want to be called transphobic or anti-trans or any other derogatory term. And I think that speaks to us as women. We tend to be empathetic and emotionally driven, and we want to be kind and inclusive, and which are all wonderful qualities and what makes us wonderful mothers and sisters and wives.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's time that we, despite being afraid, are able to be unapologetic in saying that we deserve equal opportunities.
Absolutely. And the Riley Gaines Center, can you tell us about that?
Yes, so the Riley Gaines Center is designed to tell the stories of other athletes, parents, kids, young girls who have been impacted by this movement. That's the objective. Look, what we went through is by no means unique. So highlighting these stories, and it's a training program to train, whether that's community leaders, campus leaders, national leaders, school board leaders. We need more leaders. So it's to train and embolden and empower and provide resources and support to more leaders throughout this country.
So it sounds like you're just trying to reach out in all directions.
Absolutely.
You've voiced you've been the voice in some legislation as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so now 24 states have passed some sort of fairness in women's sports bill, which is huge, considering, just 3 years ago only one state had. So 24, with Ohio being the most recent. They had to overcome Governor DeWine's veto, Republican Governor DeWine, in both the House and the Senate, which they were able to successfully do. And many more states on the horizon. So there's been a big push there, and that will only continue as more and more instances like what we went through continue to happen.
Absolutely. And you specifically mentioned Missouri. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like what here in Missouri?
Absolutely. You guys have a really phenomenal Attorney General Bailey. He's been leading the nation in pursuing litigation that fights for equal opportunities. It fights for parental rights. It fights for the safeguarding of children. He actually just recently announced a lawsuit against the school board here that was allowing boys into the girls' locker room, to which the school is now reversing policy, as I understand it. So he's really been a leader. And you got through the Save Women's Sports Act. So women in the state of Missouri should be protected.
That's great. And I appreciate you being here. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I'll just reiterate my gratefulness and my gratitude for Hannibal LaGrange. It's really been an overwhelming sense of just joy. Being, like you said, I'm often in places where I'm not met with the friendliest of welcomes, but I don't know if I've got a more friendly welcome than here at Hannibal LaGrange. So it's very obvious they're doing some good things here.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm excited to hear you on stage.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.